real rant review. We're back with another rant review for you. It's an awesome rant review, guys, for 1998's Fallen, starring Denzel Washington, John Goodman, Donald Sutherland, James Gandolfini, and a lot more. Yes, let's go right into it. Spoilers ahead, guys. Fucking great movie. I don't know why you haven't seen it. I saw it back in 98, 99. This movie is, and then seen it a million times when it comes on TV, like fucking a million times. This is a great movie. Um, yeah, one of Denzel's best, no doubt about it. Man, young Denzel, just he's after a murderer, guys, a copycat killer. In the beginning of this movie, you see Mr. Denzel Washington. He has captured his killer, a serial killer, a very famous killer by the name of Reese. So Mr. Denzel, Mr. Hobbs, Mr. John Hobbs, goes to visit Reese on the day of his execution to make sure he is indeed executed. He says some weird things to Hobbs. For his execution, he is executed. They use a good little music, that little tune we know and love, to a very creepy extent in this movie. You hear this tune, credits start rolling, and you see that Mr. Reese here is possessed by something. He's possessed by something very bad. Especially by an evil force. This evil force goes into someone else. He's able to enter certain people very easily. Some not. Anyways, he enters a guard at the prison here after the execution of Reese. So Mr. Hobbs thinks everything's good, but then what do you know? Copycat killings start happening around town. And they start really weird. And actually the killings are matching Reese's old killings, but Reese is dead. So they're thinking it's a copycat doing Reese's killing, someone that Reese worked with or whatever, or somebody that's just a fanatic doing it the way he did it, or it's a cop, someone on the inside that knows all the details, but I don't know. Anyways, why would it be John Hobbs? So Mr. Hobbs and Mr. John Goodman here, two best buds, trying to figure this shit out the whole time. And basically, like I didn't mention that Mr. Hobbs has a brother and a nephew, and his brother needs a little bit of help here and there. And it's so good, the dynamic here between the family, Mr. Hobbs and his family. But there's a point in this movie where Mr. Hobbs comes into the bedroom and finds his brother dead. Yeah, Reese, or the spirit of Reese, whatever you want to say, got to his brother and killed him. And it's just the way Denzel acts in this emotional scene, guys, with losing his brother. He tried to compose himself to come out, to tell his nephew, brother's son. It's incredible acting, guys. How he stands behind the door and just tries to, I don't know, it's just amazing. It's amazing Denzel, of course. Amazing acting. He comes out, he tells the kid, we gotta leave, because he gets a tip-off by John Goodman, says that they're off to arrest you, because all the evidence, guys, is pointing towards a cop, and Mr. Hobbs here is the closest to the investigation and knows a little more about Reese, so they're saying it's him. And there's a lot more evidence that lead to it, and there's some things that happen, guys, in this movie leading up here to prove that it might be Mr. Hobbs. Mr. Hobbs this whole time is investigating this himself, and he believes it's some kind of force. So he's off. He hits the bricks with his nephew. They run. They're on the run. Now Mr. Hobbs comes up with an idea on how to beat this thing. Since it body jumps, basically. It body hops. So he goes to isolation. A cabin that's isolated. We've seen it in the beginning of the film. He goes back to it. And he has a cigarette. He's quit smoking, which I love. And then he's like, yo, I gotta have a pack of cigarettes. He gets a pack of cigarettes. He laces the cigarettes with cyanide. Poison. But who shows up? Mr. Goodman and Mr. Donald Sutherland. Mr. Goodman is his best friend. And like, listen, we got to take you in, Mr. Hobbs. And Mr. Hobbs is like, all right, sure. Some shit like that, right? Whatever, sure, some shit, I don't know. And then Mr. Hobbs, what happens is Mr. Goodman here, of course, shoots his partner. Mr. Goodman is, who better to have? This big dude is a fucking, now he's got the right guy. Guy with the gun's big. And he's like, run, Hobbs. And he's told, it's good because every actor is acting like Reese. So it's really good acting. Top notch story, filmmaking, cinematography. Great. Don't let the naysayers put this movie down. For its time and for now, it's good. It's worth watching at least once for sure. So fucking, look at here. Goodman just gets possessed, taken over. He chases down Hobbs. But Hobbs is able to get the best of Mr. Goodman to incapacitate him enough. So Mr. Goodman can't do anything. He's incapacitated at this point. Mr. Denzel breaks out the pack of cigarettes that is laced with cyanide. He starts to smoke his last cigarette, taking in his last breaths. Really cool because he hasn't smoked in a long time. He's really taking in that cigarette, boy, his cyanide. Blowing in. The dude's just like, he's getting so pissed. Because, where's he going to go after Goodman dies and Mr. Hobbs dies? Hobbs figures, you know, where's he going to go in the middle of nowhere, right? Very great. And the whole time you're hearing Mr. Hobbs narrate this story. So you're believing he is alive. But in fact, what happens is he kills Mr. Goodman with a gunshot to the head. Then he slowly dies himself. But as the entity enters him, he dies though, and but the entity's able to enter into animal life. So it enters a little kitten that's strolling by, and enters it. And that's the whole time. It wasn't Hobbs who was narrating, it was the actual entity itself telling us its story, or one of its many, many stories, or its many, many times that it came close to death. Like I said in the beginning, I'll tell you the time that I came almost to dying. So the cat lives, the entity lives, and it rolls out for another day. What a good movie, what a good ending, guys. Fucking A, just such a good feel to the movie. The gloom, it does it way better than Seven does it. Seven tries to do mood and cinematography. Mr. Fincher does but this movie here does it way better. Fallen. Guys, check out Fallen, please. Rant Reviewer is recommending it. So yeah, thanks for listening to this Rant Review. Peace out, guys.